What's up, everyone? Today we have an extra special video for you guys. We're going to be covering the top 24 running back and wide receiver rankings, and also covering the players that already played in the Thanksgiving matchups, giving you guys my thoughts on all these guys. You know, I had to bring out the Vikings TJ Hawkinson jersey for this video. I'm sorry, it was the closest thing I had to Thanksgiving. I know the Vikings have played on Thanksgiving pretty recently. But let's get things started with our wide receiver rankings. We're going Tyreek Hill at 1. He's still the number one guy. He has been that guy all year. And right now, the Dolphins are heading up against the New York Jets, which is a little concerning for the game script because the Dolphins should absolutely blow the Jets out. That said, it's still Tyreek Hill. We're still putting him at that 101 spot for wide receivers. Then we're going to have him joined by CeeDee Lamb against the Washington Commanders. Now, here's where our first guy that already played in Thanksgiving, CeeDee Lamb, had 17 points. And it looked pretty grim at first, to be honest, but the Cowboys just kept throwing it, and they kept cooking the Commanders, so he was able to be saved. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a phenomenal ranking, as he's not, putting up 25 points or even – didn't even hit that 20-point threshold to make him a tier 1 guy. But that said, I mean, he was still dominant. Lamb is still that guy. And it's really hard to rank Lamb, much lower than a top 5 option at this point. So having him at 2 makes a fair amount of sense. Then we have A.J. Brown going up against the Bills this week. I know the Bills have been awful, but I expect them to turn this game into a shootout. And A.J. Brown has just been going nuclear in the past few games. Devonta Smith hasn't, been quite as big of a factor as many thought. Then we're going Amon-Ra St. Brown, who also played this week against the Packers, putting up 18.5 points. Just made a lot of sense. Amon-Ra is that guy you want to start on a week-to-week basis no matter what. Packers don't have a great secondary. The Lions, honestly, I thought was going to be a little concerned that the Lions were going to be winning this game. But that's not what happened, and Amon-Ra was able to dominate with this passing volume near the end of the game. Then we have Stefon Diggs against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, again, high-scoring game. It's Stefon Diggs. I think we have to put him as a top 5 option still, even though he hasn't been as good as some of these other guys. That said, it's still Stefon Diggs. It doesn't really matter if the Buffalo Bills offense has struggled. Then we're going Keenan Allen against the Baltimore Ravens. I think this should be a fairly high-scoring game as well. The Ravens have looked really good as of late. At least the offense, I know they have the potential to put up big games. And the Chargers, they don't really have anyone else besides Keenan Allen, and he's been cooking all year. Makes sense to put him here. Now, tier 3, we are putting Justin Jefferson at 7. And this is obviously assuming he plays. He's going up against the Bears. I'm not sure how limited he'll be, but I assume that if they trot him out there, he's probably 100% healthy. Now, with the Vikings losing last week, they can't really afford to just let Jefferson sit around on their bench for, an extra few weeks. They got to put him in when he's ready. And I know he's sounding out against fantasy managers, but I think he is finally ready. I'm ranking him as if he's playing. And the talent is there enough to where we're putting Jefferson at 7 above guys like Mike Evans, Brandon Ayuk. But yeah, we have Mike Evans here against the Colts. Mike Evans has been just phenomenal this year. You have to put him in that top 10 of guys. Then we got Brandon Ayuk, who honestly, he was a little disappointing, 13 points. I like Ayuk. I have him in a few of my leagues, but I've been kind of saying to sell him high, so not too crazy surprised. Then Puka Nacua, even though he's had some down weeks recently, he looked great last week with Matthew Stafford throwing the ball. They're going up against the Cardinals. The Rams still aren't a great team where they're going to blow them out. Love this matchup for Puka Nacua. Definitely still a top 10 option, and probably, looking back on it, definitely kind of want him ahead of Ayuk. Obviously, there's hindsight. And probably above Mike Evans. Wouldn't even be crazy to say to put him against Jefferson in his first week back. Then we're going to Ja'Marr Chase. Now, this is definitely our biggest faller, but it's just hard to imagine that this offense is going to be anywhere near the same with Jake Browning. So that's really a big knock to Ja'Marr Chase, to be honest. He's still the same guy he was, still a top 1 wide receiver 1, but still it's very, very hard to put him higher than this because of this horrible quarterback situation. We'll see how Browning does and reevaluate next week. Then we have Devontae Adams, who's been getting on track. They're going to be trailing against the Kansas City Chiefs, so like that matchup for Adams. And Aiden O'Connell should be improving. Then we're going Cooper Kupp, assuming he plays, obviously. It just feels wrong to have Kupp lower than this, even if he plays, even if he is limited when he plays. But we've seen, as long as he's on the field, he's probably going to be a big part of that offense. As long as Matthew Stafford is fine, Cooper Kupp deserves to be ranked as, honestly, a high-end wide receiver 2 in this ranking is probably a little low. Now, Tank Dell, I really didn't like, but I'm coming on to him. I feel like we have to just start accepting the fact that he's a small receiver that's drawing these targets from C.J. Stroud because they have great connection. Then we Adam Thielen against the Titans. Then we're going DJ Moore against the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Bears are going to get cooked, to be honest, but you never know. We'll see. It doesn't really matter. DJ Moore has been very, very good with Justin Fields. Now that Fields is back. Devonta Smith at 17, and it feels disrespectful to have him even this low. And I don't even like Devonta Smith. But it's a great game script, like I said, going up against the Bills. And Smith is still a talented player. It's just the fact that he hasn't been drawing the target volume as of late. Then we got Michael Pittman, Jalen Waddle, again, kind of in the same boat, talented receivers. Pittman's the alpha, Waddle's more just the pure talent guy in a great offense. Then we have Garrett Wilson up against the Miami Dolphins, Deebo Samuel, Zay Flowers, Christian Kirk, and DK Metcalf. Now, these guys are all kind of in the same bucket. Garrett Wilson, horrible quarterback play. Deebo Samuel is an amazing player, but tough target competition. And he did play this week, though. So let's just quickly reevaluate. He dropped 22. Bad ranking by me. I didn't even realize Deebo wasn't that crazy. But, yeah, he has that upside to go nuts every week, which is why I have him as a wide receiver 2 at least at the lowest because of that upside. With Zay Flowers, I expect him to start, dominating once again. I love Odell Beckham, my favorite football player of all time. But realistically, Zay Flowers is that wide receiver 1. Then we got Christian Kirk, who has been just dominant over Calvin Ridley all year, and Zay Jones against the Texans. Should be kind of a high-scoring game, to be honest. So, like that matchup. Then we got DK Metcalf against the 49ers. He played as well. So, let's, pull up what DK did. And I don't really think he had a great game. So, yeah, he only had 6.2 points, which is horrible. Again, it felt wrong to leave him out of that. But honestly, looking back on it, DK Metcalf continues to be one of the most overrated players in fantasy. So it makes sense, honestly, that he didn't finish as a top 24 wide receiver, even though that sounds a little harsh to, the casual fan that he likes DK Metcalf. Then let's head over to the running backs, where we're going Christian McCaffrey, tier of his own. Didn't really need to talk about it. No explanation needed. He dropped 30 points. You know how it is. It's CMC. Then we got ETN against the Texans, Eckler against the Ravens, Taylor against the Bucks. Those guys are, pretty much the guaranteed bell cow no matter what. ETN's been fantastic. Eckler's been great. And they should throw the ball a decent amount, which is how Eckler wins against the Ravens. Then JT is officially taken over from Zach Moss a few weeks ago, and he is that guy that we all thought he would. Alvin Kamara, DeAndre Swift, and Jahmyr Gibbs still belong in this tier because they're basically the bell cow. Swift honestly is. Kamara honestly is. And then Jahmyr Gibbs was pretty much today because David Montgomery went down. But which is honestly concerning rest of the season for, all the David Montgomery owners. But Gibbs only had 11 points. Tough call here. I don't even like Gibbs, but I feel like we have to rank him this high just because of that big playability he has, the fact that he's a good pass catcher, and the fact that the Lions' offense are normally much better than they were today. Then we're going to Saquon Barkley against the Patriots. He's that whole Giants offense. We have to have him there, even if the situation isn't great. But, the time of the video has been improving, so can't knock him too much. Then we got Bijan at number 9. Honestly, you could say it's too high, but some people else say it's too low. I feel like he's supposed to be a mid-ish RB1 because of the talent. I just hate Arthur Smith, and I don't have the energy to talk about him. Just let it be known that Arthur Smith is the worst coach in the NFL, and he is just so dumb and so confusing. I'm sorry. He's just such a bad head coach. Okay, I'm not going to spiral and rant on him again. Raheem Mostert at 10. We're kind of under the assumption that Etienne will play, but he's kind of limited. It's the Jets. They're going to run the ball a ton either way, so Mostert's going to get that work no matter what. Monty got injured. We're not really going to talk about that. Rachaad White against the Colts. He's been so hot as of late, but it's still hard to rank him above these guys like Bijan, Saquon, Mostert. Derrick Henry against the Panthers. We're starting Henry very high in games the Titans are, supposed to win. The Panthers suck. We're starting Henry here. He should play most of the game because of the fact that they'll be able to run the ball. Then we got Tony Pollard against the Washington Commanders. And he's been so bad this year. I honestly cannot believe how bad Pollard has been. But this game, he drops 22 points. So it's not, it's like you could say it's a bad ranking, but he has been bad as of late, besides obviously the last game where it was a cakewalk. But then we got Breece Hall against the Dolphins. They're starting Tim Boyle, but we have the talent of Breece Hall and the workload. Got to bet at that at some point. Josh Jacobs kind of sucks because he's normally not a great pass catcher, but he can catch the ball. Still, though, going up against the Chiefs, they're going to be trailing. I don't love it. Then we got Charbonnet against the 49ers, and Charbonnet is a guy where it's so tough to evaluate him because I'll pull up his full stats right now. He had 9.2 points, 14 carries, 4 receptions. He's a good talent, but he just got swallowed up by the 49ers. Excellent defense. Not really much else you can say. Then we're starting Kyren Williams at 18 against the Cardinals. He's coming back. They have Darrell Henderson. He's in a spot to crush. I'm a little concerned about the injury, which is why I have him this low, but I think next week we can just go back to setting him even higher than this with no regards. Starting Devon Achane here, even if he's limited because of the fact that he doesn't need a lot of touches to be explosive and wreck your game and give you fantasy points. And the fact that he's going over to the Jets, so he's probably going to get more fantasy points anyway. Louis Pacheco, he's heading up against, I really don't like this matchup, honestly, for Pacheco. It's not like, I'll pull this up. It's not the fact that the Raiders are good, but Pacheco has just been so bad as of late where it's honestly hard to rank him in that top group of guys. Then we got Joe Mixon against the Steelers, Singletary against the Jacksonville Jaguars, until Dameon Pierce is back at least. Javonte against the Browns, James Conner against the Rams. All this stuff, guys, where it's like you either like the workload or the talent, and the only guy with the talent here really is Javonte. I mean, they're not bad, but again, these guys aren't going to be elite running backs. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys want any questions answered about your players, I hope this, more in-depth analysis breaking down my top 24 wide receivers and running backs really help you guys out. But again, if you still have more questions, please drop them down in the comments. I will answer all of them. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.